This is Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God, because God is speaking to you and me and the church and the world, and here we get to listen in on the conversations, these encounters with angels, divine intervention, prophetic dreams, visions, near-death experiences. Today we're going to deal with the saints, the big S people, not the little s people, the big S people, I say. Let's see, what do we have? We have St. Anthony, because we're about to head out to a place called St. Anthony, Indiana. Divine Mercy Church. Looking forward to going to that parish and do some talks and everything. But when you think about St. Anthony, I was lost, but now I'm found. They should put that into a song, don't you think? That'd be amazing. Well, I got Elizabeth coming in here. We're going to talk about something St. Anthony helped us find, a little ring issue. Get to that in a second here. But let's see, what else do we have here? We have Leslie. She has St. Anthony help coming. We have Sarah getting help from St. Thérèse of Lisieux. She needed a guy in her life, and guess what? Oh, and Steve actually met a saint, Padre Pio, a month before he died, and Padre Pio did something for him over there in Italy. So all that's coming up here. All right, here at Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God. All right, Elizabeth, this is cool. We are headed out to St. Anthony, Indiana. I mean, these people lose nothing. Or if they do, they only lose it for like an hour. You know?
Probably shorter than that, 10 minutes.
10 minutes max. And here's the deal. This is what I've already discovered this. When these people, garbage collection day, next day it's all back. They can't get rid of the stuff. They can't. They just keep finding it.
Are you sipping the juice already?
I've been sipping the juice. It's orange, but I'm sipping the juice. I am. So we're gonna explain this
to the best of our inability.
Yeah. So this comes off the wedding of our daughter, Carolyn, last November. Okay, but first you have to, before we get to what St. Anthony did and what's lost, we first need to establish the
setup?
The setup. Yes, here's the setup. First picture in your mind, if you will, peoples.
A clear 9-ounce hard plastic disposable cup. The kind you get in a sleeve, like maybe 25 or 50 in a sleeve. I don't remember exactly.
Now, if you take one of those cups and you turn it upside down, you have that kind of reset thing. It's not flat to the surface, is it?
Not reset. Recess. Recess.
It's a recess bottom so that there's that little... So it's not flat on the bottom, so when you pick it up and you see that at the bottom.
Correct.
So picture...
a sleeve of those.
A sleeve of and you had what, 3 of those? At least 3 sleeves? Probably 70 plus cups, 80 cups
3 or
total.
4 sleeves. Some of them were open, some of them weren't.
And you had these under a table. What kind of table was that in the kitchen?
We had to set up a folding table that was kind of our prep table so that we could keep all the plates and everything filled.
Right.
And we had bins under the table.
This was for a gathering the day after the wedding. This was going to be for anybody that was out of town, leaving, needed a place to kind of be for a while, wanted to just kind of chill for a while. A lot of Carolyn's friends from out of state were coming in. And we had, 70 people that day? Something like that? Some crazy thing?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that?
There sure were a lot of shoes in the front hall.
A lot of shoes. We tore them off their feet, threw them in the hallway there. It's just that you'll not be allowed to wear your shoes in our house. So, okay, so here's, what did you lose? Because it was the day after the wedding, we're getting the car, we're coming home to have this party.
Yes, except that I didn't know I lost it until that Saturday evening when we were going to bed.
Okay, we're going to bed. It's after the party. Everyone's gone.
Yeah, everybody's gone, and we're dead. And I go upstairs to get in my toasty, warmy jammies, and I'm taking my jewelry off, and I'm going, oh my gosh, my 50th birthday ring, my pinky ring, is gone.
You're that old?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, wow.
And maybe a few more than that now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've had that for some time, and I love it, and it's a nice, good ring.
And it's gone.
And it's gone. And I'm going, I remember coming down very sheepishly and going, we have a problem. And then after I told you that it was missing, I went through this entire house.
And at the same time, we're both envisioning, how many bags of garbage did we have?
There were at least 7, 30-gallon black garbage bags.
There was a lot of garbage. There was a lot of garbage
piled in the garage. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it fell off. It slid off when I was picking up. It's got to be in those bags. It's got to be, and you're just everywhere. And we're, of course, already going to the St. Anthony mode. We're already in the St. Anthony mode, but totally got to depend on the man. I was like, okay, it can't go anywhere. The garbage is in the garage. It will still be there in the morning. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to pray to St. Anthony. Help me find this ring. Help me find this ring. Anyway.
Okay, so the next day comes.
We were going to go to Mass. So before we left here, I went through the whole house again. I started every room. And I went in the kitchen and I'm going, oh, I know I checked this, but I'm going to just check it again. And I looked under the table and I looked into the bin, and sitting in a twisted closed sleeve with all the glasses upside down.
The hard plastic clear cups.
Sitting in the recess of the top cup in a sleeve that was closed was my ring.
It made no sense.
No idea.
Such joy. But at the same time, how the ring got into that sleeve of hard, clear plastic 9-inch cups.
Not nine ounces.
That's almost what I said. 9-ounce cups upside down in the sleeve. And there it is sitting on the top.
Nice and clean. It wasn't in the garbage at
all. No, there was no going through garbage. And it's just sitting in that little recessed area on the bottom of the top. Just what? There was no way.
Nope, totally impossible.
There was absolutely no way.
St. Anthony was working overtime overnight.
That was nuts. So anyway, so you got your ring back. It was just one of those moments where there's just no way. No way.
Nope.
No way. Somebody else got a little help from St. Anthony, the busiest saint in the world. And let's see if Anthony has found Leslie.
Good morning, Trapper. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
I can hear you just pretty good. Let's get a little closer since it's not video. Get a little closer to your microphone there.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Where are you? Where do you live?
I live in Palmdale, California.
Which is near?
Which is about, 40 miles north of Los Angeles.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, and we moved out here when I was 12. I just wanted to say it's such an honor to talk to you. I've been listening to you for a couple of years, and you are such a critically important warrior for the kingdom of God. Keep up the amazing work. You're bringing so many people to God through this. I just want to say thank you, and please know that it's appreciated.
Oh, God bless you. I do appreciate that. What makes you say that? What do you know?
Well, I have learned so much from you, from listening to your podcast. I just love when you talk about Catholicism and what's involved, and it just speaks to me. So I'm really leaning towards that. I actually bought a rosary, and I'm learning how to pray the rosary.
That warms my heart, the fact that you're open to it, because it's so powerful, and it's just beautiful.
But I've learned so much, especially about the saints. Thank God I've learned from you about St. Anthony. But more importantly, I have a relationship with Mary now because of you and this podcast. I knew who she was, but I never knew you could pray to her or talk to her until I listened to your podcast. And now we have a great relationship. And I'll as I tell you the story about what I'm about to tell you, how that fits into this.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And as you're finding out, you're not worshiping, you're not praying to her like she's God. You're just asking a friend to help you out is what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's awesome. You've learned that. You're making my day here, girl. You're making my day.
You've had such a positive impact on my life. And when this series of events happened, I thought, I have to let Trapper know that it was because of him and talking about St. Anthony that I think this had a huge impact on this series of events that happened. I'm like, I have to at least tell you about it. Whether you use it or not, it doesn't matter to me, but I at least wanted to tell you about it.
Awesome. I know. Looking forward to this. So I'm trying to think if there's anything more about your background. Have you always been in your faith somewhere along the way? I mean, God's always been there?
Absolutely. Ever since I was a child, I've always had a strong faith and belief in Jesus, and I'm very strong in that faith. Right now I'm going through Bible in a Year with Father Mike, and he's a hoot. But I'm going through the Bible with him, and it's helpful to have him explain, especially the Old Testament. It's just really helpful. So I'm in the process of doing that. And then, like I said, I'm in the process of learning how to pray the rosary. So Christmas night, our family was here at my house. So they all left around, I don't know, say 7:00. And my daughter said, we're on the Ring camera. They have one in their home, and they have two dogs, a German Shepherd named Ripley, who this is about, and then a little tiny little dog named Minnie. And they're best buddies. And she said, we can't see them on the camera. We need to go home and make sure they're okay. So they get home, and she called me panicked. Someone had opened the gate, and it's not a gate that dogs can open. It's a latch at the top. Someone had to have opened it. So we're not sure what happened, and it doesn't matter, but they got out. So when they got there, the little dog Minnie was just sitting on the corner, not knowing what to do, but Ripley was gone. Ripley's a German Shepherd. So they're in the car driving around. They put Minnie in, of course. I go over there in the car. I'm driving around, calling her name, just panicked, right? So after a couple of hours, we realized that she's not coming home that night. So it really put a damper on Christmas, and we were all just crying so hard. And we love all the dogs in our family. They have dogs. We have a dog. My other daughter has 3 German Shepherds, a cat, 2 donkeys, and a horse. My parents have a dog. My sister has a dog. I mean, we all have animals, and we love them. So we were heartbroken.
Yeah, not a nice Christmas story.
No, but it turns out really happy. So over the course of the next couple of weeks, we are driving around. People are posting on the Ring neighborhood app. We saw a German Shepherd over here, and it's around their house. There's a big park over there, and and every time we would go over there, we couldn't find her. This went on for 2 weeks, okay? Every day we're crying, we're upset. She's a sweet dog. We just wanted her home. 2 weeks to the day, my daughter calls me and says, I'm going out to look for Ripley. Someone saw her over at this area. Meet me over there. Let's go look for her. I get in the car, and on the way there, I pray to God. I pray to Mary. And I said, St. Anthony, I don't know you. I'm not Catholic. But I've learned about you from Trevor Jack's podcast. You help people find things. Please help us find Ripley. She's a sweet girl. Please bring her home to us. And I went and I met my daughter, and she and I searched for over an hour, and we couldn't find her. So my husband called me and said, I'm coming home from work to work from home, but I'm going to grab my little electric bike. I'm going to go out for a little while on my bike over in that area and look for her. My husband calls me and says, we have her. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean you have her? You have Ripley? He said, yeah, she was over in that big park. And at first she wouldn't come to them. But then when she heard their voice and kind of got a little closer, we think that she smelled my daughter's scent, and she ran to my daughter and jumped in her arms. 2 weeks to the day and 2 hours after I prayed to St. Anthony.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
I've never prayed to him before. I've never spoken to him before. I said, I don't know you. You don't know me probably, but we need your help. And he came through.
He's amazing. He doesn't fail. He just doesn't fail. There's something that always comes through. There's just something. But that is so cool. That is so cool. It really is. And welcome to the world of saints.
Oh my gosh. I know you said he's the busiest saint of them all, and I think you're right.
He is.
And we lived on our own for 2 weeks, and then 2 hours after I prayed to him, she was home.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
So that's my St. Anthony. He was there for me, and he pulled through.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's sweet. I love it.
Yeah.
It's all right, Leslie. Let's move on to our next saint. We're going to talk to Sarah about Saint Thérèse of Lisieux, famous for being what she called herself the little flower. She wanted to be a saint, but she realized or thought to herself that I can't do big things like saints always do. They always do these massive things. I'll do little things. So the little way, as she called it, and that meant if she picked up a piece of paper, I'm doing it for Jesus. I'm making the world more beautiful for Jesus. Everything she did, she was doing for Jesus. So with all that in mind, and the fact that her sign, if you will, is usually flowers or roses of some kind, but some kind of flower. If you pray to Saint Therese, if things are happening, or if she's heard your prayer, generally flowers are in the picture somewhere there. So With all that in mind, we're going down to Kentucky to talk to Sarah. Sarah, Abraham calling. Sarah.
I'm here,
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Well, very good. Are you in your car? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in the car.
Okay. All right. Where are you parked?
In a parking lot near a court center, judicial center.
Judicial, yeah. Are you escaping somebody? You're in the car.
This would be the wrong place to park for that.
That's true. But a lot of times people are in the car because they've got 47 children or a nosy somebody or whatever. So this is like a quiet place.
Yeah, my house is always like something going on, busy and talking and, stuff like that. So.
Well, I appreciate you reaching out again. Good to talk to you again. And where does this one start?
Grew up here in Bardstown. So,
I was down there and I had my first grits there.
Really?
I had never had grits before. I had they sound like they're rocks, grits. It sounds like they crunch. They were fluffy and wonderful. So I had my first grits there. It was fabulous. I also remember that we were there for a healing service, and we went out in the evening, and there was music being played out on the square, out on the something, whatever was there. And the first song we heard was, if you want to get to heaven, you got to raise little hell.
Yeah. Well, interesting.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that song before.
Yeah. All right. Where are we going this time here, Sarah?
My grandmother, she was a very devout Catholic. She really introduced me to the saints. So she's kind of a main reason that she used Saint Therese as an intercessor a lot when I do novenas. So she would have those moments in her life where she would get a rose as an answer to a prayer, and then she would know which way she needed to go with her prayers and how things were going to turn out for her. So yeah, she's pretty amazing. And after I heard those stories, I was like, oh, well, I should probably do that too. So I started praying novenas to her, at some of my life crossroads. And I started like as a teenager. And at that time, I was like, well, I should be praying to see who I'm going to meet, who I'm going to end up with in my life. And so I prayed for probably a good little while to see if I could find, a husband that was godly, someone that God specifically wanted me to be with. So around 2000, 2002, I met a guy and we started talking over the phone, and then we met. Things kind of started to get serious, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I need to go to my go-to saint, like my grandmother used to do. So I knew he was probably going to be proposing to me at some point, and I was like, I need to make sure I'm going to try to do this in the best way I can. So I had prayed to Saint Therese, and at the conclusion of the novena, I had literally got done praying, and my mom needed me to go to the store and go get some soda. Started going down the soda aisle, and the soda she wanted me to get, I walked over to it, and right beside it was like a bouquet of roses that somebody had decided they didn't want and just stuck it right in the little rack where the sodas come down.
Nice sign.
And I was like, how weird. I've never seen nothing like that before. And I was like, well, maybe this might be my sign. Yeah, these were deep red roses. And so later on that day, somebody had been talking to me at school because I was still in college at that time, finishing up college. And they're like, hey, I seen that you do a lot of reading. And I was like, yeah, in addition to our coursework reading, And she says, hey, I want to give this to you. And it was a bookmark, and it had a rose, but it was like a fabric rose on the end of it that had been you purchase them at a gift shop or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, this is another rose. So I was like, I think I probably have my answer. So my husband was coming over, my future husband was coming over that night, and he lived 2-3 counties away. So he would only get to see me 2 or 3 times a month. And he came over, and he brought me a card, which it really wasn't unusual because we kind of did a little bit of the old-fashioned kind of romance stuff where sometimes we would write each other letters and sometimes we would give each other cards just for random, no really reason. And he gave me a card, and he says, hey, I made this card for you. And I said, oh, you made it? And he says, yeah. And at that time, I don't know if you remember, they used to have like Hallmark creative cards in stores.
Okay.
Where you got to select, what was on your card.
But a guy making a card is news.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I had never heard of anybody doing that, but he's like, yeah, I made this card for you and I selected the front of it and he wrote inside how much that he loved me. And I was like, oh, but when I opened the card up, guess what? There was like 20 roses, like all over the card. Just like bright red roses. And I was like, okay, so I've got like 3 rose signs. So I think this is definitely a go on this. So, like say he proposed and, so that was pretty amazing.
Amazing it is. Thanks so much, Sarah. Now we're going to move on to Steve, who actually met a real saint.
Hey, Trapper.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I don't have any video, but...
You're not supposed to.
Okay, I didn't know.
I'm extremely ugly. I just will not allow people to see it. It's just a sad, sad state.
Well, good. At least I can hear you. I'm not very techy, so I thought I was going to be in big trouble here.
You a Clevelander, or where are you?
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio City, right next to the Heisman House. The Heisman Trophy.
Yeah?
And I was born next door, and if there's a little plaque on his house, the John Heisman House.
Yeah.
And if you look right underneath, there's a little sign that says Steve Toth with an arrow next door. Or not really.
I like it. I live next door to Steve.
Yeah, I
like
that.
Well, see, now you got everybody intrigued about Heisman because they know Heisman Trophy football and all that. So what's the story on this guy? How come it got named after him?
I don't know why. You know what? I got
Steve, you live next door to the house. You've been through there 5,000 times. Come on. You're letting us down, buddy. Okay. In that case, let's just make something up.
Yeah, he was the best flag football player on the block.
And of all time.
He knew the right time. He knew the right people.
Okay, pause the action for a second. I looked it up. I don't know why I didn't know this. Heisman Trophy, John Heisman. But I thought, wait a minute. What position did he play? Well, here's what he's famous for. Early on in the football world, I mean, like early in the 1900s, John Heisman, without John Heisman, ladies and gentlemen, football would not look the same. You wouldn't care about the Super Bowl game and all of that. John Heisman was the guy who said, hey, I got an idea. How about the center stands over the ball and hikes the ball between his legs to the quarterback? Before that, they didn't do that. How did they do that? It was all by the foot. The center just kind of rolled the ball back with his foot, and the guy, and so it was just more of a scrum rugby kind of thing. So he said, how about we hike the ball, add a little order to this thing to a play? And the other thing that he's famous for, the handoff, the quarterback handing the ball off to a running back before, again, it's a scrum, it's rugby. So he kind of gave order to it, put a little more importance on things called scoreboards and things like that. So that's why John Heisman is John Heisman and the Heisman Trophy, and who lived next door to Steve's house. I know absolutely nothing about your story. All I know is our mutual friend Mary Rossi says Steve's got a great story. So that's a starting point.
The summer of '68, so I was 15 years old. Roman Catholic is my background, and currently. My mother was a staunch Catholic. She was really she used to say 8 rosaries a day, and I'd say, Mom, what for? I said, 1 for you, 1 for your friend Grant, and 1 for Chuck because they need it.
1 for Mr. Heisman next door.
1 for Heisman, 1 for the Iron Curtain to come down, and 1 for the Berlin Wall to fall. Okay.
Well, she got her wish. She got her prayer.
She got a lot of them. I know the power of prayer.
Did she put you down on your knees every night for a family rosary?
No, but she kissed me 3 times since I was a child that I can remember. It was for the 3 faith, hope, and love.
Oh, okay.
And she always said it to herself. She never said it to me. So now I did it to my children, and my children do it to their children.
How cool! Like on the top of the head thing, or
right on the the top of the head.
That's cool.
Just real subtle.
I love that. That's a good thing. Everyone feels loved. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faith, hope, and love, and the strongest is love.
Beats noogies every time. Given the option.
Yeah. Going back to my trip in August of 68. Mm-hmm. So that year, my mom asked me to go on a religious pilgrimage with the Hungarian group. We went to Fatima, Lourdes, another place that was called Garabandal, which never got a lot of steam. But
you went to Garabandal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Spain. I love that story. I love it. Yeah. I know the church can't approve or disapprove yet. It's just sitting there waiting for the prophetic to happen. Yeah, they're just waiting for things to happen, like the warning and illumination of conscience and all that. So I'm amazed your mom even knew about Garabandal.
I know. She was like fourth grade education from Hungary, you know.
Wow.
She had miracles happen to her too. So after those first cities, we went to Rome. And when we were in Rome, you know, we went up the steps of the Christ carried the cross, and there were blood spots on these steps we went up there.
Oh,
the marble steps.
Those are the holy steps. Yeah. They moved the steps that were in Jerusalem to Rome. Yes.
Okay, so that's where we went. So we did that. Then my mom goes to the priest. We need to go see Padre Pio from here. We're in Italy. We need to go see him. And the priest said, it's not on our docket. We're going to stay on point with our tour.
This is 1968?
August of 68.
This is the year he died.
He died in September.
Yes, he did, 23rd. Okay, continue.
She grabs me about 5 o'clock in the morning or 6, very early. We grab a bus. My mom, again, I have no idea where we're going. We're in Italy. She finds her way up to his church where he is, priest. We got there so early, the doors were closed. It was dark. And we were the first ones in line. And then the Italian ladies started walking up slowly, you know, for the mass. They're all coming up and they're like, you know, they had their traditional black outfits with the black veil and the shoes with the big heel. Once they started coming up closer, they started pushing us aside. And I've being a gentleman, I just came back and back and back until, you know, once the doors opened, it was a rush to get to the front. Well, as it ended up, we were in the second set of pews, no pews, and I was in the front row there with my mom. So Padre Pio comes out. He has the gauze around his hands. You know, you could see there's blood.
And for those who don't know, he had the wounds of Christ for 50 years. Was it 50? I think it was 50 years.
Ends Mass. He gets in a wheelchair. And they pull him around, and he stops right in front of me. And I had this 4-way cross on my, hanging from my neck. He asked me to bend over. He pulls it off of my neck. He puts it on his gauze. He blesses it, and then he puts it back over my head. And then they continue out. They left.
Just to pause for a second here, your mom must have freaked out that Padre Pio took your cross, put it on his wounds, basically, next to the blood and everything, and then blessed it and then put it back. She must have been flipping.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. She was like, yeah, he needs it the most.
yeah. This should make him a priest.
How about over here?
Yeah. When you say 4-way cross, what does that mean?
Like I had it was a holy medal. It had I think the Holy Family Mary, and on the back it said, "I am a Catholic. Please call a priest." And
okay.
Yeah,
I have a vague recollection of those. Okay.
Yeah. So it was just there was a nice heavy chain, which I wore, and I wore it for I can't tell you how many years, into my late 20s probably.
I mean, literally, if you saw him in
August in 1968.
Died September 23rd of that year. Yeah. And was canonized, was it around 2000? His stories are so legendary, just incredibly legendary.
Yeah, like people felt his presence in other.
The guy bilocated. He was seen in the air during World War II protecting his village. And I mean, just crazy stuff. Bombs, they bombed where he was, and bombs bounced, or the bomb bay door wouldn't open, or it would open and the bombs wouldn't fall out. I mean, there's just so many stories that the bombs were not allowed to explode around that church and city.
Wow. Yeah. Then other people had the sense of the smell of roses or something like that.
With his hands. And if he took his bandages off, they would smell like roses. Yeah. His gloves. A lot of people have gloves. A local woman here, Cindy Russo, a friend of mine, she's got one of his chalices that he used at Mass, and there have been some miraculous things that have happened around it.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy time. And he always says hi to me right before his feast day, in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
I have a rosary that was given to me from the local Padre Pio prayer group, and haven't seen it for 6 months, and suddenly that day it'll show up. It's just crazy. Mm-hmm. Or just something will pop up. He'll do it again this year. He just says hi.
Fast forward a little bit. We go on a vacation down to Virginia Beach, and I have it on, and I'm body surfing, and I come up off the wave, and I'm like, it came off of me while I was body surfing.
It's gone.
It's gone. I go out into the ocean, and I start feeling around with my feet. And after I don't know how many minutes I don't remember how long it was, but I ended up feeling it with my foot. I went down, grabbed it, and that was it. I found it in the sand.
Oh my God.
In the ocean.
Oh my God.
Other times I had playing football at St. Anne's in the snow. I'd wake up in the morning and forget, oh my gosh, I lost it playing in the snow or on the way home. Who knows? And I found it that time at the side lot at St. Anne's in the snow. It just keeps coming back to me. Well, I have a cute story about so when I was a carpenter working down in Naples, Florida, where I am right now, actually, but in the mid 70s, probably mid 70s, somewhere around there, late 70s. Anyway, I was up on the roof, framing in the roof and cutting the plywood, and I had an electric saw. We didn't have battery operated one, and it had a big it had slits in the top, and you could always see sparks coming out of there. So anyway, I'm up there with no shirt, my metal, and I'm leaning over looking at my line to cut it. And my metal goes down right into the slot and connects with the electricity. And it came back up and shocked me around my neck. I'll look at it fall off the roof.
Jeez.
But it went right down in there and it went, it was wow. Our youngest son, Calman, Andrew, took Pio as his confirmation name. So
nice.
I'm going to leave it to him. He's going to get it from me. But I had lost it. I think the necklace has gotten so weak that it just would break all the time. And to me, the necklace also was in his hand. So it's not just the metal, it's the necklace. It's the combination that I don't. So I'm thinking about having, I know a really good art framer in Little Italy, Joe Arco. I think I'm going to have him put it in a frame for me. I'm thinking
put it on a wall.
And I was thinking about cutting out a little piece of the glass in a circle, so it would be just there. So if somebody wanted to touch it, they could touch it.
So if you counted up all the times you thought you lost it, and did you ever tell your mom these things, or just find it before she knew?
She was in Virginia Beach with us. Maybe not the other times. I was like, maybe don't want her to worry or whatever.
Or kill you. It's not, I don't want her to worry. It's, I don't want her to kill me.
If she didn't kill me by now, she ain't going to kill me over that. Trust me. I
staunch. Those staunch Catholics, they've been known.
She told me a story once when she was young where her father was a famous artist. She told me a story once she was praying at the church and they had no heat, very poor people, no heat, no socks, the shoes. And she was at this little church. She showed me in Voss at the top of this hill and she was freezing. And she came out after praying and she said, there's a whole flock of pigeons there. And they all took off at the same time. And it left all the soft feathers from underneath. Mm-hmm. So she took those and stuffed them in her shoe. And she always told me this was from God, that God sent these pigeons here. They fluffed it around and they left all these feathers for her to warm up her feet.
Nice.
But she was not like a Johnny-come-lately holy person. She was always like that. Always praying for others. Always, when she got older, she brought food in for the poor from Burton when they lived out in the farms.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, I always ask guests, what's your takeaway? Out of all of this, Steve, what is the takeaway of having a cross and Padre Pio and a mom and all these things? What's your takeaway?
I think hope. Well, I just hope there is something for us to keep us together forever. There's too much love here.
Yeah. Amen. I always say that hope is not one of my favorite topics, because if you don't have it, I don't know how you exist.
Yeah.
Right. Hope, I heard a definition. Hope is the belief that things will change. Whatever that is, you're hoping for something to happen so that happens and not this happens and all that. Generally, we're hoping for an improvement of something. You're hoping for something. So if you don't have that, if you don't have that hope that things will get better, if you don't have that, I think life would be extremely difficult.
Right. Spread the word about 3 kisses. I'll talk to you.
Why don't you give me 3 right on the head, right on the top there, buddy? Right on the top, right on the top.
Yeah. Faith, hope, and love, babe.
Thanks, 1. Trapper. Hold on. I got to get 2 more from you.
I got 2.
There's 2. Okay. 1 more. Thank you. Oh. Thanks, Steve. All right. It's going to wrap it up as we journeyed around with saints and such, and I'll see you next week. Need your story, though. What's your story? touchedbyheaven.net. Let me know. Okay. Thanks for the Patreon help. Patreon.com. Appreciate it. Nilda Morales. Thanks, Nilda. You get our shout out here. I give it to you fully and thankfully. Nilda has been with our Patreon family a good while now. And thank you for that. If you haven't been here yet, patreon.com, search for Trapper Jack, or come here to this episode, 358 at touchedbyheaven.net. Thank you for keeping it all going with your stories and financial support. And I'll see you next week here at Touched by Heaven. Everyday encounters with God. I'm Trapper Jack. I'm known for a couple of things.
He was the best flag football player on the block.
Thank you.